Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So welcome everyone to our weekly Sunday reading Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada. And before we begin, let us offer our respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to each other. Namo Vishnumadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paskachade Chatarne. And to each other, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So as we mentioned last week, for all of you online, this is our fourth year now reading Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada in his sacred rooms here in Vrindavan, and it's our fourth time around Krishna book. So the week before last, we started the Advent of Lord Krishna, chapter 1. Now we're in chapter 2, prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb. You can follow along, for those of you online, the subtitles at the bottom of the page, and that will help you to learn better English by reading Krishna book. The highest blunder committed by the impersonalist is to think that when the incarnation of God comes, he accepts the form of matter in the mode of goodness. Actually, the form of Krishna or Narayan is transcendental to any material idea. Even the greatest impersonalist, Sankaracharya, has admitted Narayana Parovyaktat. The material creation is caused by the avyakta, impersonal manifestation of matter, or the non-phenomenal total reservoir of matter. But Krishna is transcendental to that material conception. That is expressed in Srimad Bhagavatam as Shuddha Sattva, or transcendental goodness. He does not belong to the material mode of goodness, and he is above the position of material goodness. He belongs to the transcendental, eternal status of bliss and knowledge.
Dear Lord, when you appear in your different incarnations, you take different names and forms according to different situations. Lord Krishna is your name because you are all attractive. You are called Sham Sundara because of your transcendental beauty. Shama means blackish, yet it is said that you are most beautiful than thousands of cupids. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. Although you appear in a color which is compared to the blackish cloud, because you are the transcendental absolute, your beauty is many, many times more attractive than the delicate body of Cupid. Sometimes you are called Giridhari because you lifted the hill known as Govardhana. You are sometimes called Nandanandana or Vasudev or Devaki Nandana because you appear as the son of Maharaj Nanda or Vasudev or Devaki. Impersonalists think that your many names or forms are given according to a particular type of work and quality because they accept you from the position of a material observer.
Our dear Lord, the way of understanding is not to study your absolute nature, form and activities by mental speculation. One must engage himself in devotional service. Then one can understand your absolute nature and your transcendental form, name and qualities. Actually, only a person who has a little taste for the service of your lotus feet can understand your transcendental nature or form and qualities. Others may go on speculating for millions of years, but it is not possible for them to understand even a single part of your actual position. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, cannot be understood by the non-devotees because there is a curtain of Yogamaya which covers Krishna's actual features. As confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. The Lord says, I am not exposed to anyone and everyone. When Krishna came, he was actually present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and everyone saw him, but not everyone could understand that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, everyone who died in his presence attained complete liberation from material bondage and was transferred to the spiritual world.
O Lord, the impersonalists or non-devotees cannot understand that your name is identical with your form. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his name and his actual form. In the material world, there is a difference between form and name. The mango fruit is different from the name of the mango. One cannot taste the mango fruit simply by chanting mango, mango, mango. But the devotee who knows that there is no difference between the name and the form of the Lord chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and realizes that he is always in Krishna's company.
For persons who are not very advanced in absolute knowledge of the Supreme, Lord Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes. Such persons can simply think of the pastimes of the Lord and get full benefit. Since there is no difference between the transcendental name and form of the Lord, there is no difference between the transcendental pastimes and the form of the Lord. For those who are less intelligent, like women, laborers, or the mercantile class, the great sage Vyasadeva wrote the Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, Krishna is present in his different activities. The Mahabharata is history, and simply by studying, hearing, and memorizing the transcendental activities of Krishna, the less intelligent can also gradually rise to the standard of pure devotees.
The pure devotees who are always absorbed in thought of the transcendental lotus feet of Krishna and who are always engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness are never to be considered to be in the material world. Srila Rupa Goswami has explained that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness with body, mind and activities are to be considered liberated even within this body. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita. Those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord have already transcended the material position. Should I continue?
You can do two.
Krishna appears in order to give a chance to both the devotees and the non-devotees for realization of the ultimate goal of life. The devotees get the direct chance to see him and worship him. Those who are not on the platform get the chance to become acquainted with his activities and thus become elevated to the same position. Our dear Lord, O Supreme Controller, when you appear on earth, all the demons like Kamsa and Jarasandh will be vanquished, and all good fortune will be ushered into the world. When you walk on the globe, your lotus feet will impress on the ground, and marks of your souls, such as the flag, the trident, and the thunderbolt. Thus, you will grace both the earth and us on the heavenly planets, who shall see those marks.
O dear Lord, the demigods continued, you are unborn, therefore we do not find any reason for your appearance other than for your pleasurable pastimes. Although the reason for the appearance of the Lord is stated in Bhagavad-Gita, he descends just to give protection to the devotees and vanquish the non-devotees. Actually, he descends for his pleasure meeting with the devotees, not really to vanquish the non-devotees. The non-devotees can be vanquished simply by one kick of material nature. The actions and reactions of material nature, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, are being carried out automatically. But simply by taking shelter of your holy name, the devotees are fully protected because your holy name and your personality are non-different. The protection of the devotees and the annihilation of the non-devotees are actually not the business of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he descends, it is just for his transcendental pleasure. There cannot be any other reason for his appearance.
Our dear Lord, you are appearing as the best of the Yadu dynasty, and we are offering our respectful, humble obeisances unto your lotus feet. Before this appearance, you also appeared as the fish incarnation, as the horse incarnation, as a tortoise incarnation, as the half-man, half-lion incarnation, as the boar incarnation, as the swan incarnation, as King Ramachandra, as Parashuram, and as many other incarnations. You appear just to protect the devotees, and we request you in your present appearance as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself to give us similar protection all over the three worlds and remove all obstacles for the peaceful execution of our lives.
Dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing along with all his plenary extensions. He is the original personality of Godhead, appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the king of Bhoja. Your son, Lord Krishna, who is the, do you know how? You might have to go. Sorry, Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the king of Bhoja. Here, I'll start all over. Sorry, Srila Prabhupada. Dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing along with all his plenary extensions. He is the original personality of Godhead, appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the king of Bhoja, your son, Lord Krishna, who is the original personality of Godhead, will appear for the protection of the pious Yadu dynasty. The Lord is appearing not alone, but accompanied by his immediate plenary portion, Baladev.
Devaki was very much afraid of her brother Kansa because he had already killed so many of her children. So she was very anxious about Krishna. In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated that in order to pacify Devaki, all the demigods, along with their wives, used to visit her to encourage her not to be afraid that her son would be killed by Kansa. Krishna, who was within her womb, was to appear not only to diminish the burden of the world, but specifically to protect the interest of the Yadu dynasty, and certainly to protect Devaki and Vasudeva. It is understood that Krishna had been transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki, and from there to her womb. Thus, all the demigods worshipped Devaki, the mother of Krishna. After thus worshipping the transcendental form of the Lord, all the demigods, with Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva placed in front, departed for their heavenly abodes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second chapter of Krishna, prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb.
Hari Bol.
Chapter 3, The Birth of Lord Krishna. In the Bhagavad-Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth and activities are all transcendental, and that one who understands them factually becomes immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance or birth is not like that of an ordinary man who is forced to accept a material body. According to his past deeds, the Lord's appearance is explained in the second chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. When the time was mature for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. The astrological influence of the star known as Rohini was predominant. This star is considered to be very auspicious and is under the direct supervision of Brahma. According to the astrological conclusion, besides the proper situation of the stars, there are auspicious and inauspicious moments. Due to the different situations of the different planetary systems, at the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems were automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious.
At that time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. There were auspicious stars visible in the sky and on the surface of the earth, in all towns and villages and pasturing grounds and within the minds of everyone. There were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of waters, and lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. All the birds within the forests began to sing with sweet voices, and the peacocks began to dance along with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing. At home, the Brahmanas who were accustomed to offering sacrifices in the fire found their homes were pleasant for offerings. Due to disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire had been almost stopped in the houses of Brahmanas, but now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully. Being forbidden to offer sacrifices, the Brahmanas had been very much distressed in mind, intelligence, and activities. But just on the point of Krishna's appearance, automatically their minds became full of joy because they could hear transcendental vibrations in the sky proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
The denizens of the Gandharv and Kinnor planets began to sing, and the denizens of Siddhalok and the planets of the Charanas began to offer prayers in the service of the personality of Godhead. In the heavenly planets, the angels and their wives, along with the Vidyadharas and their wives, began to dance. The great sages and the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was the sound of mild waves, and above the sea, there were clouds in the sky which began to thunder very pleasingly.
When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared to the rising of the full moon over the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised that since Lord Krishna appeared on the eighth day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty which is in the hierarchy of the moon. Therefore, although the moon was incomplete on that night because of the Lord's appearance in the dynasty wherein the moon is himself the original person, the moon was in an overjoyous condition. So, by the grace of Krishna, he could appear just like a full moon.
In an astronomical treatise by the name Kamanikya, the constellation at the time of appearance of Lord Krishna are very nicely described. It is confirmed that the child born at auspicious moment was the Supreme Brahma, or the Absolute Truth. Vasudeva saw the wonderful child born as baby with 4 hands holding conch shell, club, disc and lotus flower, decorated with mark of Srivatsa, wearing the jeweled necklace of the Kaustubha stone, dressed in yellow silk, appearing dazzling like a bright backless cloud, wearing a helmet backdecked with the Vaidurya stone, valuable bracelets, earrings and similar other ornaments all over his body, and beautified by an abundance of hair on his head. Due to the extraordinary features of the child, Vasudeva was struck with wonder. How could a newly born child be so decorated? Vasudeva could therefore understand that the Lord Krishna had now appeared, and he became overpowered by the occasion. Vasudeva very humbly wondered that although he was an ordinary living entity conditioned by material nature and was externally imprisoned by Krsna, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, Vishnu or Krishna, had appeared as a child in his home exactly in his original position. No earthly child is born with 4 hands, decorated with ornaments and nice clothing, fully equipped with all the sign of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Over and over again, Vasudeva glanced at his child, and he considered how to celebrate this auspicious moment. Generally, when a male child is born, he thought, people observe the occasion with jubilant celebrations, and in my home, although I am in prison, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken birth. How many millions and millions of times should I be prepared to observe this auspicious ceremony?
When Vasudev, who is also called Anakdundubhi, was looking at his newborn baby, he was so happy that he wanted to give many thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmanas. According to Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in the Kshatriya king's palace, out of joy the king gives many things in charity. Cows decorated with golden ornaments are delivered to the Brahmanas and sages. Vasudeva wanted to perform a charitable ceremony to celebrate Krishna's appearance, but because he was shackled within the walls of Kamsa's prison, this was not possible. Instead, within his mind, he gave thousands of cows to the Brahmanas. When Vasudeva was convinced that the newborn child was the Supreme Personality of God himself, he bowed down with folded hands and began to offer him prayers. At that time, Vasudeva was in the transcendental position and he became completely free from all fear of Kamsa. The newborn baby was also flashing his effulgence within the room in which he appeared.
Vasudev then began to offer his prayers. My dear Lord, I can understand who you are. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul of all living entities, and the Absolute Truth. You have appeared in your own eternal form, which is directly perceived by us. I can understand that because I am afraid of Kamsa, you have appeared just to deliver me from that fear. You do not belong to this material world. You are the same person who brings about the cosmic manifestation simply by glancing over material nature.
One may argue that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates the whole cosmic manifestation simply by his glance, cannot come within the womb of Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. To eradicate this argument, Vasudeva said, "My dear Lord, it is not a very wonderful thing that you have appeared within the womb of Devaki, because the creation was also made in that way. You are lying in the causal ocean as Mahavishnu, and by your breathing process, innumerable universes came into existence. Then you entered into each of the universes as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Then again you expanded yourself as Shirodaksha Vishnu and entered into the hearts of all living entities and even into the atoms. Therefore, your entrance into the womb of Devaki is understandable in the same way. You appear to have entered, but you are simultaneously all-pervading. We can understand your entrance and non-entrance from material examples. The total material energy remains intact even after being divided into 16 elements. The material body is nothing but the combination of the 5 gross elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Whenever there is a material body, it appears that such elements are newly created. But actually, the elements are always existing outside of the body. Similarly, although you have appeared as a child in the womb of Devaki, you are also existing outside. You are always in your abode, but still you can simultaneously expand yourself into millions of forms.
One has to understand your appearance with great intelligence because the material energy is also emanating from you. You are the original source of the material energy, just as the sun is the source of the sunshine. The sunshine cannot cover the sun globe, nor can the material energy, being an emanation from you, cover you. You appear to be in the 3 modes of material energy, but actually the 3 modes of material energy cannot cover you. This is understood by the highly intellectual philosophers. In other words, although you appear to be within the material energy, you are never covered by it.
We hear from the Vedic version that the Supreme Brahman exhibits his effulgence and therefore everything becomes illuminated. We can understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Brahma Jyoti or the Brahman effulgence emanate from the body of the Supreme Lord, and from the Brahman effulgence all creation takes place. It is also stated in the Bhagavad-Gita that the Lord is the support of the Brahman effulgence. Therefore, originally He is the root cause of everything. But persons who are less intelligent think that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes within this material world, He accepts the material qualities. Such conclusions are not very mature, but are made by the less intelligent.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is directly and indirectly existing everywhere. He is outside this material creation and He is also within it. He is within this material creation not only as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, He is also within the atom. The existence of the atom is due to His presence. Nothing can be separated from His existence. In the Vedic instructions, we find that the Supreme Soul or the root cause of everything, has to be searched out because nothing exists independently of the Supreme Soul. Therefore, the material manifestation is also a transformation of his potency, both inert matter and the living force. The soul are emanations from him. Only the foolish conclude that when the Supreme Lord appears, he accepts the conditions of matter. Even if he appears to have accepted a material body, he is still not subjected to any material condition. Krishna has therefore appeared and defeated all imperfect conclusion about the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
My dear Lord, your appearance, existence, and disappearance are beyond the influence of the material qualities because your Lordship is the Supreme Brahman and the controller of everything. There is nothing inconceivable or contradictory in you. As you have said, material nature works under your superintendence, just like a government officer working under the orders of the chief executive. The influence of subordinate activities cannot affect you, since you are the Supreme Brahman. Everything is existing within you, and since all the activities of the material nature are controlled by your Lordship, none of these activities affect you.
You are called Shuklam. Shuklam, or whiteness, is the symbolic representation of the absolute truth because it is unaffected by the material qualities. Lord Brahma is called Rakt, or red, because Brahma represents the quality of passion for creation. Darkness is entrusted to Lord Shiva because he annihilates the cosmos. The creation, annihilation, and maintenance of this cosmic manifestation are conducted by your potencies, yet you are always unaffected by those qualities. As confirmed in the Vedas, Harir hi Nirguna Sakshat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always free from all material qualities. It is also said that the qualities of passion and ignorance are non existent in the person of the Supreme Lord.
My Lord, you are the Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead, the Supreme Grade, maintaining the order of this cosmic manifestation. Yet, in spite of your being the Supreme Controller, you have so kindly appeared in my home. The purpose of your appearance is to kill the followers of the demoniac rulers of the world, who are in the dress of royal princes, but are actually demons. I am sure that you will kill all of them and their followers and soldiers. I understand that you have appeared in order to kill the uncivilized Kamsa and his followers, but knowing that you were to appear in order to kill him and his followers, he has already killed so many of your predecessors, your elder brothers. Now he is simply awaiting the news of your birth. As soon as he hears about it, he will immediately appear with all kind of weapons to kill you.
After this prayer of Vasudev, Devaki, the mother of Krishna, offered her prayers. She was very frightened because of her brother's atrocities. Devaki said, "My dear Lord, your eternal forms like Narayana, Lord Rama, Hagriva or Hasrira? Hagriva, Varaha, thank you, Hasirsa, Varaha, Nirsingha, Vamana, Baladev, and millions of similar incarnations emanating from Vishnu are described in the Vedic literature as original. You are original because all your forms as incarnations are outside of this material creation. Your forms was existing before this cosmic manifestation was created. Your forms are eternal and all-pervading. They are also self-effulgent, changeless, and uncontaminated by the material qualities. Such eternal forms are ever cognizant and full of bliss. They are situated in transcendental goodness, and they are always engaged in different pastimes. You are not limited to particular form only. All such transcendental eternal forms are self-sufficient. I can understand that you are the Supreme Lord Vishnu.
After many millions of years, Lord Brahma comes to the end of his life. The annihilation of the cosmic manifestation takes place. At that time, the five elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether, enter into the Mahat Tattva. The Mahat Tattva then enters the force of time into the non-manifested total material energy. The total material energy enters into the energetic Pradhan. The Pradhan enters into you. Therefore, after the annihilation of the whole cosmic manifestation, you alone remain with your transcendental name, form, qualities, and paraphernalia.
My Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because you are the director of the unmanifested total energy and the ultimate reservoir of the material nature. My Lord, the whole cosmic manifestation is under the influence of time, beginning from the moment up to the duration of the year. All act under your direction. You are the original director of everything and the reservoir of all potent energies.
All the conditioned souls are continually fleeing from one body to another and one planet to another. Yet they do not get free from the onslaught of birth and death. But when one of these fearful living entities comes under the shelter of your lotus feet, he can lie down without the anxiety of being attacked by formidable death. This statement by Devaki is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita by the Lord himself. There the Lord says that even after traveling all over the universe, from Brahmaloka to Patalaloka, one cannot escape the attack of birth, death, disease, and old age. But one who enters the kingdom of God, the Lord says, is never again obliged to come to the material world.
Therefore, my Lord, I request you to save me from the cruel hands of Kamsa, the son of Ugrasena. I am praying to your lordship to please rescue me from this fearful condition, because you are always ready to give protection to your servitors. The Lord has confirmed this statement in the Bhagavad-Gita by assuring Arjuna, you may declare to the world, my devotee shall never be vanquished.
While thus praying to the Lord for rescue, Mother Devaki nonetheless expressed her motherly affection. I understand that this transcendental form is generally pursued in meditation by the great sages, but I am still afraid because as soon as Kansa understands that you have appeared, he might harm you. So I request that for the time being, you become invisible to our material eyes. In other words, she requested the Lord to assume the form of an ordinary child. My only cause of fear from my brother Kansa is due to your appearance. My Lord Madhusudana, I wish that Kansa may not learn that you are already born. Therefore, I request you to conceal this four-armed form of your lordship, which holds the four symbols of Vishnu, namely the conch shell, the dish, the club, and the lotus flower. My dear Lord, at the end of the annihilation of the cosmic manifestation, you put the whole universe within your abdomen. Still, by your unalloyed mercy, you have appeared in my womb. I am surprised that you imitate the activities of ordinary human being just to please your devotee.
On hearing the prayers of Devaki, the Lord replied, "My dear mother, in the millennium of Swayambhuva Manu, my father Vasudeva was living as one of the Prajapati. His name at that time was Sudapa, and you were his wife named Krsna. At the time when Lord Brahma was desiring to increase the population, he requested you to generate offspring. You controlled your senses and performed severe austerities by practicing the breathing exercise of the yoga system. Both you and your husband could tolerate all the influences of material laws. The rainy season, the onslaught of the wind, and the scorching heat of the sunshine. You also executed all religious principles. In this way, you were able to cleanse your heart and control the influences of the material laws. In executing your austerity, you used to eat only the leaves of the trees which fell to the ground. Then, with a steady mind and controlled sex drive, you worshipped me, desiring some wonderful benediction from me. Both of you practiced severe austerities for 12,000 years by the calculation of the demigods. During that time, your mind was always absorbed in me. When you were executing devotional service and always thinking of me within your heart, I was very much pleased with you, O sinless mother. Your heart is therefore always pure. At that time also I appeared before you in this form just to fulfill your desire, and I asked you to ask whatever you desired. At that time you wished to have me born as your son. Although you saw me personally, instead of asking for your complete liberation from material bondage, under the influence of my energy, you asked me to become your son.
In other words, to appear in the material world, the Lord selected his mother and father, namely Prishni and Sutapa, respectively. Whenever the Lord comes as a human being, he must have a mother and father. So he selected Prishni and Sutapa to be his mother and father perpetually. And on account of this, neither Prishni nor Sutapa could ask the Lord for liberation. Liberation is not so important as the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Lord could have awarded Prishni and Sudapa immediate liberation, but he preferred to keep them within the material world for his different appearances, as will be explained in the following verses. On receiving the benediction from the Lord to become his father and mother, Sudapa and Prishni retired from the activities of austerity and lived as husband and wife in order to beget a child, who was the Supreme Lord himself.
In due course of time, Prishni became pregnant and gave birth to the child. The Lord spoke to Devaki and Vasudeva. At that time, my name was Prishni Garbh. In the next millennium, you took birth as Aditi and Kashyap, and I became your child of the name Upendra. At that time, my form was just like a dwarf, and for this reason, I was known as Vamanadev. I gave you the benediction that I would take birth as your son 3 times. The first time I was born, I was known as Prishni Garbh, born of Prishni and Sutapa. In the next birth, I was Upendra, born of Aditi and Kashyap. And now, for the third time, I am born as Krishna from you, Devaki and Vasudev. I have appeared in this Vishnu form just to convince you that I am the same Supreme Personality of Godhead again taken birth. I could have appeared just like an ordinary child, but in that way you would not have believed that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had taken birth in your womb. My dear father and mother, you have therefore raised me many times as your child with great affection and love, and I am therefore very much pleased and obliged to you. And I assure you that this time you shall go back home, back to Godhead, on account of your perfection in your mission. I know you are very concerned about me and afraid of Kans. Therefore, I order you to take me immediately to Gokul and exchange me for the daughter who has just been born to Yashoda.
Having spoken thus to his father and mother, the Lord turned himself into an ordinary child in their presence and remained silent. Being ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev appeared to take his son from the delivery room, and exactly at that time a daughter was born to Nanda and Yasoda. She was Yogmaya, the eternal potency of the Lord. By the influence of this eternal potency, Yogmaya, all the residents of Kamsa's palace, especially the doorkeepers, were overwhelmed with deep sleep, and all the palace doors opened, although they were barred and shackled with iron chains. The night was very dark, but as soon as Vasudev took Krishna on his lap and went out, he could see everything just as in the sunlight.
In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that Krishna is just like sunlight, and wherever there is Krishna, the illusionary energy which is compared to darkness cannot remain. When Vasudeva was carrying Krishna, the darkness of the light disappeared. All the prison doors automatically opened. At the same time, there was thunder in the sky and several rainfall. While Vasudeva was carrying his son Krishna in the falling rain, Lord Sesha, in the shape of a serpent, spread his hood over the head of Vasudeva so that he would not be hampered by the rainfall. Vasudeva came into the bank of the Yamuna and saw that the water of the Yamuna was roaring with waves and that the whole span was full of foam. Still, in that furious feature, the river gave passage to Vasudeva to cross, just as the great Indian Ocean gave a path to Lord Rama when he was bridging over the Gulf. In this way, Vasudeva crossed the river Yamuna. On the other hand, he went to the place of Nanda Maharaj, situated in the Gokula, where he saw that all the cowherd men were fast asleep. He took the opportunity to silently enter the house of Yasoda, and without difficulty he exchanged his son for the baby girl newly born there. Then, after entering the house very silently and exchanging the boy for the girl, he returned to the prison of Kansa and silently put the girl on the lap of Devaki again. He clamped the shackle on himself so that Krishna could not recognize, so that Kansa could not recognize that so many things had happened.
Things as they had been before, he carried Krishna to Gokula, and all the doors and gate became similarly closed. The gatekeepers awoke and heard the newborn child crying. Kamsa was waiting to hear the news of child's birth, and the gatekeepers immediately approached him and informed him that the child was born. At that time, Kamsa got up from his bed very quickly and exclaimed, "Now the cruel death of my life is born." Kamsa became perplexed now that his death was approaching, and his hair scattered. Immediately he proceeded towards the palace where the child was born.
Devaki, on seeing her brother approaching, prayed in a very meek attitude to Kamsa, "My dear brother, please do not kill this female child. I promise that this child will be the wife of your son. Therefore, don't kill her. You are not to be killed by any female child. The omen was that you are to be killed by a male child. So please do not kill her. My dear brother, you have killed so many of my children who were just born, shining like the sun. That is not your fault. You have been advised by demoniac friends to kill my children. But now I beg you to excuse this girl at least. Let her live as my daughter."
Kamsa was so cruel that he did not listen to the pitiful prayers of his sister Devaki. He forcibly grabbed the newborn child to rebuke his sister and attempted to dash her on a stone mercilessly. This is a graphic example of a cruel demon who could sacrifice all relationships for the sake of personal gratification. But the child immediately slipped out of his hands, went up into the sky, and appeared with 8 arms as the younger sister of Vishnu. She was decorated with nice garments and flower garlands and ornaments. In her 8 hands she held a bow, lance, arrows, sword, conch shell, disc, club, and shield.
Seeing the appearance of the child, who was actually the goddess Durga, all the demigods from different planets like Siddhaloka, Charanaloka, Gandharvaloka, Apsaraloka, Kinnaraloka, and Urgaloka presented her with various articles and began to offer their respective prayers. From above, the goddess addressed Kamsa, "You rascal, how can you kill me? The child who will kill you is already born before me somewhere within this world. Don't be so cruel to your poor sister." After this appearance, Goddess Durga became known by various names in various parts of the world. After hearing these words, Kamsa became very much overwhelmed with fear. Out of pity, he immediately released Vasudeva and Devaki from the bondage of their shackles and very politely began to address them. He said, "False propaganda is found. Now it appears, because I believed in the words of the celestial denizens, I have committed so many sins by killing the children of my sister. My dear Vasudeva and Devaki, you are both very dear, very great souls. I have no instructions to give you, but still I request you that you not be sorry for the deaths of your children. Every one of us is under the control of the superior powers, and that superior power does not allow us to remain together. We are bound to be separated from our friends and relatives in due course of time. But we must know for certain that even after the disappearance of the different material bodies, the soul remains intact eternally. For example, there are many pots made of earthly clay, and they are prepared and also broken. But in spite of this, the earth remains as it is perpetually. Similarly, the bodies of the soul under different conditions are made and destroyed, but the spirit soul remains eternal. So there is nothing to lament over. Everyone should understand that this material body is different from the spirit soul, and so long as one does not come to that understanding, he is sure to accept the processes of transmigration of one body into another.
My dear Sister Devaki, you are so gentle and kind. Please excuse me. Don't be aggrieved by the death of your children, which I have caused. Actually, this was not done by me, because all these are predestined activities. One has to act according to the predestined plan, even unwillingly. People misunderstand that with the end of the body, the self dies, or They think that one can kill another living entity. All these misconceptions oblige one to accept the conditions of material existence. In other words, as long as one is not firmly convinced of the eternality of the soul, one is subjected to the tribulation of being killer and killed. My dear sister Devaki and brother-in-law Vasudev, kindly excuse the atrocities I have committed against you. I am very poor-hearted, and you are so great-hearted, so take compassion upon me and excuse me. So, my dear devotees, that concludes our 1 hour of reading Krishna book to Srila Prabhupada. And as we always do, let us conclude with offering our respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to each other. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskachade Shatarane. And to each other, Panchakalpajubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Krishna Bhok, Jai Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai.